as a host because
Uh,
the host
Try
is
again.
recording the cloud. Okay.
Try again, because I got the pop-up window
Okay.
to permit, and I thought I permitted, but I mean maybe I just clicked the wrong thing too.
Um, well, now it's showing that it's giving me the option to pause or stop the recording. So to me, that looks like it's working now. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, very good. We will proceed then. I'm going to read the script. Welcome everyone. Tonight is the Lunenburg Conservation Commission meeting of November 6th. We are holding this meeting by Zoom remote. And in accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may be in fact discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair, that is me, Mary Wilson. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided in the notice, which is the agenda that is posted online. Our meeting ID is 875-2621-4314. And of course, if you do go and download the agenda, you can just click on the Zoom link. That makes it easier for all concerned. I will start out with a roll call. Jenny?
Present.
Rich, I didn't see Rich come in. Jeff notified me that he's going to be out. He is out of the country. Mike?
Present.
Chris?
Present.
Very good. Thank you. So do we have any announcement by members of the commission? And I am not seeing any. And so now we have a moment for public comment. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes and must be on a subject matter that's under the direct jurisdiction of the commission. Comments about current agenda items are to be made during the comment period of that specific agenda item. And of course, please address all comments to the chair. And if you do have comments at any time, start out by introducing yourself with your name and your address. Bruce, you're holding your hand up.
I am. Good evening. My name is Bruce Ringwall from GPR, Goldsmith Preston Ringwall, and I would love to request a couple minutes of your time. My former associate, Nick Pauling, an engineer, has been before you multiple times for his own property as well as presenting other notices of intent in Lunenburg. Unfortunately passed away this past summer. And I would like to share my screen, if I may, for a quick discussion relative to his property at
Hang on just a minute.
486 Reservoir Road.
Okay, I think I allowed you to share.
Okay. Nope, sharing is not turned on.
Okay, let me
Send a request. I just sent you a request.
Okay. What is Nick's address?
586 Reservoir Road.
586 Reservoir Road. Okay.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. It's letting me share now. Oh, I lost you guys though. Let me see here. Let's get you folks back. There we go. Okay. So
and Bruce, if you would please maybe just tell us what you want to accomplish with this commentary, right? So I can make certain that I've got you in the right place and that we're actually able to talk about it during this meeting.
Okay, so in May 18th of 2022, Nick Pauling filed an RDA and was heard on your agenda on May 18th. Well, he filed it in April. He was heard on your agenda on May 18th. And the commission voted to give him a -3 determination, unanimous vote. I believe you, made comment in the minutes that you, Richard, and NM, I'm not sure who NM was, were all on the site previously, and that was for this red barn, this red garage proposed over here on the property. That was, majority of it was within the outer portion of the 100-foot buffer. We have proposed to not build that and to build a garage over here instead. And what we'd like to do is make a field change, moving this garage from this location to this location, where it is just out of the 100-foot buffer on existing lawn. And outside the area, I've shown a limit of disturb, a stockpile, a staging area, and erosion control on the opposite side of the driveway. Should there be
So,
anything to cross over there?
okay, Bruce, so the appropriate way to route that is to talk to our administrator and get on the agenda under the request for field change.
And I have tried that since September.
Oh, okay. And what have you tried that's not worked?
We've reached out, we had a filing of, for a building permit. We moved the building, it was 1.5 feet, 2 feet closer to the wetlands, so it was just in the buffer. We made phone calls and emails. We have sent in and answered all the questions via the portal through the contractor that's trying to build this, who's the same one that built the addition on the end of the house, which was a
Okay.
2021 RDA that you approved with a DOA
Okay.
-3.
Okay.
And we've not
So,
gotten responses. And now I'm being told I can be on the December 4th agenda, but for an RDA, but that doesn't give us, the ground's going to be starting to get frozen, and we're trying to get a garage built for Nick's widow so that she can have storage since her husband is no longer with us to clear the driveway and the cars.
I understand, but we're not able to make a determination or any type of decision here tonight because it's not been published as our open meeting law requires.
Well, this
So,
work here is outside the buffer, and under 310 CMR 10.02, blah, 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 blah. The work in the buffer in the outer 50 doesn't need to have a filing, and we've always done them as RDAs, but this is outside the zone. So we're moving outside the zone. We think that this should be fine. We're doing all the protection as if we were in the zone, and we just need to get a sign off on the building permit so that this can move forward.
I understand what you're
We'll
saying.
dig the hole from inside the foundation, so we're digging right at the edge. We'll form right at the edge. We'll stay out of the buffer zone.
Well, if you're outside of the buffer zone, you're outside of the jurisdictional area.
100%, but conservation has not signed off on the building permit for over 2 months.
Okay, Sophia, can you give us some insights on this?
Yes, so we've been working with Bruce for a little bit, trying
Now-
to backtrack.
Okay, so
Uh,
hang on. Bruce is saying nobody's contacted him. Is that-
That's incorrect. We've been back and forth for a bit between a little bit of myself on the OpenGov, and Maddie has been trying her best with the limited hours she has to correspond with him. And we've been looking for the DOA, and it gets a little sketchy because we can't locate the DOA that was issued by the prior agent. And so we've reached out to DEP to see if they have any way to trace that on their end, because regardless, those also go to DEP. But with not having the agent here that supposedly sent out the DOA, we can't locate it in physical files or electronic files. So it's been a little bit of a struggle.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Bruce.
I did forward to Madison the agenda from the May meeting, the minutes from the May meeting where it shows that you voted unanimously to approve a negative determination. I also previously had forwarded emails between Nick and Nadia, I think her name was, if I remember correctly, prior agent, about the mess up in the description in the DOA where they must have copied the previous description from 21. It had a 22 date on it, but it talked about the porch rather than the garage, and tried to get it cleared up and then never got it cleared up. And so hence I haven't seen a copy of the DOA. I've gone through our files, Nick's files at this end. But I do have the voting for it, and I do have the messed up one. And I've provided all of that to Madison and Sophia over the course of time. But, I will call to follow up. Last Thursday, I told there was going to be a follow-up call, and I keep on calling, and I'm just trying to help my former friend's widow and getting a garage in the ground this winter.
Yeah, I understand. We're not going to be able to discuss this further, Bruce. Feel free to follow up with me offline. But
Love to.
it's not been published, so we can't discuss it. We can't make decisions about it here.
Okay. How do I follow up with you offline, Madam Chair?
My email is posted on the Lunenburg website.
Perfect. I will check that out. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
Okay. Do we have any other public comment? I'm seeing no hands raised. So we'll move along to an appointment hearing at 7 p.m. So Tom Analons has obtained funding to purchase a snow dog trail groomer and is seeking permission to groom single track trails on conservation lands for winter recreation like cross-country skiing and fat tire bike. The snow dog is a motorized vehicle which would be used on trails that are close to snowmobiles. Tom, why don't you talk us through your proposal here?
Okay, Tom Airlines, 186 West Street, Lunenburg. I've been living here 12 to 13 years, and I'm an avid cyclist. I've been working in the Lunenburg Holman Street for quite some time, just doing trail maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. I did purchase last week a snow dog, which is a motorized vehicle with I do believe it's a 7 or 8 horsepower Briggs & Stratton motor. It's 20 inches wide, I believe. It grooms for cross-country skiers, hikers. It makes it easier on trail runners. But the main object was more for fat bike tire, I guess, bikes, if you're familiar with that. So I was just asking permission if we could groom trails just to benefit the avid winter sports activity people that are out there.
Well, I'm an avid winter sports person myself, and also a mountain biker. So it sounds like something that's I personally would have some interest in. Now, are you asking for permission on all conservation lands or on targeted conservation lands?
Well, you know what, Mary, that would be fine with me. I mean, if we could just make it good for everybody, I wouldn't have a problem with, if everybody's having a good time on a winter sport, I'm more than happy to help out and take this snow dog on request from you or Bob or Steve, to benefit anybody really. But the main, where we bike, obviously, Holman Street, out behind Gary's house, in just
Where is out behind Gary's house.
Gary Laddie's.
Table Rock.
Oh, Table Rock, got it.
sorry.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. So, yeah, we just, I know, town of, Leominster, there's a guy out there that has a snow dog, and, it's really, just a really benefits a lot of people, you know, and, I can't.
And this would only be on marked trails?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom.
Yeah,
Apologies.
yeah, no worries. I'm not really a good public speaker, so this is part of me.
You're doing just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Bob, was there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
I mean, you know, the commission could just take and vote to approve, you know, Tom's use of the snow dog, but I think it would be better, you know, going forward if the commission would amend its land use regulations to formalize that process. I mean, you could vote tonight, you know, to approve it, but I you know, just to approve the use of the snow dog. But I sent the full commission an email earlier today with some proposed language that said, you know, that you add a new section, I think it's 2.5 to the land use regs, that says something like ride behind trail groomers not to exceed 30 inches in width are allowed on all conservation land except for Hunting Hills, which doesn't allow motorized vehicles. You know, so long as there's at least 4 inches of snow on the ground. If you did that, you know, if somebody else gets a snow dog, or if, you know, you get demand in another part of town, you know, you'd be able to go do it anywhere, because, you know, a snow dog has zero impact on the environment because it's on top of the snow. The snow is between, you know, the snow dog and the environment, and it just benefits everyone. You know, it benefits anyone who wants to get out there in the woods, you know, in the winter when there's really been really heavy snow. So, but that's up to the commission, you know, how they want to proceed. But I made a suggestion in the email, and if you may or may not recall, to amend the land use regs, there's a rule in there that says you have to have 2 public hearings on meetings that have been televised, and the PAC, public access cable, televises the Conservation Commission's second meeting of each month. You know, so I was suggesting that you hold a public hearing, you know, on the second meeting in November and the second meeting in December, you know, with language similar to what I proposed. But those are just my thoughts. You know, this is really Tom's idea. Tom took the initiative. I had discussed back when I was on the commission the possibility of applying for a recreational trails program grant, you know, to buy a snow dog, or something similar, you know, because there are other models out there. But it just never happened for one reason or another. Plus, I think it's better in private hands because all the logistics about, you know, maintenance,
There's a lot,
gas,
yeah,
and all storage and all that other stuff. I think it's better in private hands. So
I agree.
so I'm just ecstatic, and I'm just trying to be helpful here, and I don't want to muck the process up. But those are just suggestions. Thank you.
They're good suggestions too, Bob. Thank you for that. Chris, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to let people know that maybe not experienced with what those are. I've got to benefit from them in the Leominster State Forest. It's like narrow sidewalk, and it feels nice and flat, and it's great, as Tom was saying, it's great for fat biking. It's a low pressure fat tire. And we can just ride all like Tom. Tom and Bob. I'm an avid cyclist, and because of snow dogs, we can ride year round. If we get a heavy storm, and Tom gets that snow dog out, people can walk with ease through those groomed trails. They can cross country ski, and we can fat bike. It's really it does benefit a good amount of people that enjoy the winter activities.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Mike?
Yes, madam. I'm just looking to get an answer about when would the snow dog be utilized? What hours of the day? Would this interfere with people either walking or cross-country skiing during that time? I guess I'm reluctant to change the regulations, as Bob possibly thought we could do, but you know, if I could get some sort of idea that the snow dog is going to be at what hours it'll be, you know, will it be in the middle of the night, or, you know, if it goes near houses, will it wake people up? I'm just curious to see what kind of a schedule are we talking about. I like the idea of prepping the trails for people, but I just want to make sure it doesn't interfere with people's enjoyment while they're using the trails on the properties.
Good questions, Mike. Tom?
Yeah, very good questions. So I can answer some of those to my knowledge anyhow. So it's just like it's a technique, obviously. It depends on temperature of the snow, air temperature. So it really benefits if you go out after dark where the moisture is low, humidity's low. So the best time to groom would probably, on my knowledge and my experience, the people that I talk to, is either early morning, or in our case, it would probably be after 5, 6 o'clock at night. So it wouldn't really interfere on morning traffic or, you know, morning hikers, skiers, you know, snowshoers. So it really sets up overnight where, you know, you groom at night, it gets cold, it sets up, it freezes. So and it's, as far as being loud, it's not a machine that's really, you'd probably, it's not like it's not a 2-stroke motor where it's, you know, it's where it's annoying loud, right? As everybody knows, it's not like a plane in the sky. It's pretty quiet, actually. And it's 4-stroke, so it's not a 2-stroke motor, which is, you know, doesn't use oil, which is good for the environment. But I think you could really get away with using it. Not that we would, but you could probably use it at any time at night, and you wouldn't know it was there. It's like a log splitter, you know. It's just real quiet, but it does a great job, right? So I think that's my experience, you know. Yeah, that's, you know, and of course, if it ended up being a problem, then you just fix it. You wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't do it at night, or if somebody complained, which I don't think they would. I don't even really think they'd, you know, the windows are closed and you're not really in someone's backyard anyhow, but no, that I don't think that would be a problem as far as noise wise. And if, you know, we don't go out till there's 4 inches of snow, and the trails are roughly 24 to 32 inches wide, I believe, the attachment. And yeah, so nighttime would probably be the use of the machine.
Thank you, Tom. And I'm assuming you're going to be doing this work, or do you have a crew that would be doing this work?
We have volunteers that donated to the machine, though of course the machine is it's a machine. You don't really want a lot of people operating it. So it would be 2 to 3 of us that would be running it. You know, to get familiar with it more, you know, it's not a machine you kind of let everybody just take out and do their thing for maintenance wise, right? So it would be, yeah, I'm not sure if you know Gary, Lottie, and myself would probably be the main operators that would be running it.
And I assume you're the ones who are trained on this Snow Dog. So feeling comfortable that you're not going to break the machine or hurt yourself in the process, or
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty neat machine. It's not something you really can get hurt. It's pretty stable.
Okay.
If you can YouTube it, Snow Dog, there's great videos out there.
I think a video was circulated to the conservation commissioners via email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Of course, you're not going to take it on any, you know, slopes, ledge. It's more, yeah, I mean, you can do some inclines with it, you know, and rollers, but you're not going to take it anywhere where you're out of bounds, basically. And you know you're going to, you know, either hurt the machine or hurt yourself.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from members of the commission? Okay, do we have any questions or comments from members of the public?
Mary, I have a
Bob,
condition.
yes.
You know, if you're concerned about, I mean, we presently allow snowmobile use.
Correct.
In conservation land.
As well as grooming.
As well as grooming. For those of people who actually get out on conservation land in the wintertime, we are already deeply indebted to the snowmobiles who go out there and pack the trails and groom them. We've not had, in my 7 years on the commission, we never had any complaints about snowmobile use. And this machine is quieter than snowmobiles. And as to being out there and interfering with other people's use, when the snow, quite often when you're using a Snow Dog, the snow depth is such that no one is out there at all unless there's been a snowmobile through, because you can't make any headway because you know, the depth of the snow. So thank you, Mary, for allowing me some additional comments.
Thank you, Bob. And you know, along with what you've said, I'm out in conservation land 12 months out of the year, and walk a lot. Those of you who know me may know I'm also a snowmobiler as well. But you know, I can't take my dogs walking on the snowmobile, so I am out very often walking at night and walking in the snow. And all the trails that I like to or prefer to walk on are more of the single track variety when we're out walking. And I think the Snow Dog would really, really do a lot to make those trails a lot more accessible in the wintertime. So I'm pretty excited about the opportunity for Lunenburg to have a Snow Dog in town to make the trails more accessible in the wintertime, right? For all of our residents that like to get out, that might be a little bit ambivalent about getting out because it might be slippery or, you know, it might be deep snow or something like that. Okay, so we are not in a position tonight to undertake making a change to the land use trails or the land use regulations. Because as Bob appropriately mentioned, that requires two public meetings that are televised. But I would be willing to accept a motion to allow this as deviation, right, for the interim until such time we could undertake and consider making it consider it for a land use a trail use regulation change.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you,
Mike.
Jenny. Thank you, Mike. And we'll do a roll call vote. Chris,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we'll approve that as a temporary deviation to the regulations. And then as a second consideration, would the Conservation Commission be in favor of proposing this as a permanent change to trail use regulations?
I would. I think it should be the same way as snowmobiles grooming the trails. I don't think we have to go through each year to propose.
No, we don't. We have evergreen approval on yellow and orange trails.
I would like to have something similar for the snow dog.
Yeah. Mike, what are your thoughts around that?
No, I'm okay with that, Madam Chair. So you would essentially be saying snowmobiles plus snow dogs are approved on conservation trails. You know, I
Yeah.
don't have the regulation in front of me, but that's
Right.
essentially what we would be changing it to include the snow dog. And we may want to put in parentheses that it's a grooming tool, a trail grooming tool, so if people don't know what it is.
Yeah,
what-
we would have to get some type of regulatory language that defined it in generically and not to a particular brand or model, I think.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And Jenny, what are your thoughts there?
I agree. I think that it would be a great idea to put this in the bylaw.
Okay. We are not having a second meeting this month. And we may or may not in December, depending on how the workload goes. And I would also like to give the other Conservation Commission members an opportunity to weigh in on it as well, those that are away. So we'll take up the permanent usage as a regulation change at a later date. So thank you. And thanks for, honestly, thanks for taking up the initiative to go and get funding for a snow dog to do this grooming. I just think it's awesome. The more people we can get out in the trails, the more people are invested in our conservation properties. That's awesome.
You know what's also a benefit, Mary, is that it's really nice. You could get attachments, or you have a tree down that fell across the trail and you can't, it's hard to hike out there and keep the trails clear for everybody. So it benefits you that way as well, right? I mean, if you just to keep the trails open year round, right?
Right.
So it's really no positive, feedback on it. It's all good. That's my take anyway. But thank you for allowing me to,
Thank you, Tom.
Get the idea out. Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And with that, we will move along to our public hearings. Sophia, did we have any requests for continuations?
No.
Okay. And we have no new public hearings. So next one up under continued public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by D&A Lunenburg LLC for construction of stormwater management system within the 50 and 100-foot buffer zone, but outside of the 30-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland located at Electric Ave and Pierce Ave. Do we have those applicants with us here tonight, or their representative? I am not hearing anybody speak up. And so, Sophie, you been in contact with these applicants? They knew they were on for tonight? Because I seem to recall they were not at the last meeting either.
Yeah, they weren't here at the last one. I can double check the OpenGov to make sure that the notification was sent. But I have been in contact with them for other filings too, ones that are coming up. And they didn't mention anything.
If I
Strange because
recall properly from OpenGov, they're represented by is it Hannigan Engineering?
yes, that's correct. The applicant is Chris Anderson.
Those guys are usually pretty good about showing up when they're scheduled.
Yeah, I think I actually I might have updated their yeah, I even updated their hearing date. So once I do that, I should have gotten a notification
Okay.
of some sort.
The last time we held the meeting open, we until the end to see if they were just kind of delayed or something. I'm not inclined to do that this time because this is a second non-appearance. So I'm looking for a motion to continue to December 4th.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. Roll call vote. Jenny,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself. It's continued to December 4th. Okay, moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Christopher Coffin for the removal of a deteriorating pressure-treated railroad tie wall with replacement by continuing an existing Graves recon wall in its place on the shore of Lake Shirley located at 701 Reservoir Road. Do we have Christopher Coffin and/or his representative here tonight?
I am here, Christopher Cobbin.
Very good. So you want to just get us reoriented with a overview again of what you're doing. Let me oh, Sophia, do you have the ability to share his site plan?
Yes. Well, trying to look for the most recent one. Chris, could you help me out?
Um, I don't know how to share anything. But right there, that picture that you have on there now, well, the last time I was on, everyone was all set to go. I just didn't have my DEP number, which we have now. And then on the filter fabric right there, you were wondering how much stone. So we were putting 12 inches of stone on the back and 6 inches of stone on the bottom.
Do you have that? Did you send that detail in?
Yes, we did.
And
Was
Sophia,
that
you, go ahead.
by email, but it
Um,
wasn't uploaded to the submission on the online submission?
Yes, it was. I uploaded it on Monday morning. It should be in on the bottom.
this is my wife, Ashley, just so you know.
Sorry.
Um, do you know what the title is?
It should be revised letter and revised sketch
Right there.
right there. Yep.
Okay, let me try to orient this.
There you go. You can
Okay.
kind of see it written in there.
Yep. That's consistent with the notes that I had as well.
Okay.
And there were no notes on the comments on the DEP number. Does anybody know?
There are comments. I am uncertain that the applicant has submitted or resubmitted their updates and changes to their plans to DEP. If they did, there would be I would have seen further comments. But it hasn't been confirmed that DEP has received these changes.
From as far as I know, everything was uploaded to the E DEP.
So Sophia, you would get a notice from DEP that those additional information's been uploaded.
No,
Then
I wouldn't. I
okay.
would not get that.
Okay.
In fact, I have DEP reach out to me pretty consistently with applicants not providing that information to them.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's no way I would know, other than the word of the applicant.
Yeah, I was just going through and reading the comments. Okay. And then the one of the comments they had made was the Oregon land subject to flooding or LUW resource area impact should be quantified on the WPA Form 3, even if considered temporary in nature. And the applicant should demonstrate that the relevant performance standards have been met. Has that been addressed? Christopher? Oh yeah, you're showing it on the screens. So thanks.
I believe everything was addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as Sophia knows, we had filed all the paperwork wrong the first time
Mm-hmm.
and had it redo everything. So most of their questions were irrelevant to me, but I'm not sure on that one. But everything, I believe we resubmitted all their questions to them properly.
Okay, and Sophia, from what you have access to, do you have access to this information?
The additional details and changes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so then if for some reason DEP didn't get it,
Mhm.
it's available and that gap could be closed in short order.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, well then, do we have any questions or comments from members of the commission? And I'm seeing none. Do we have any questions or comments from members of the public? I am seeing none. So I think I'm looking for a motion from my commissioners. I think I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second,
Jenny. Thank you, Mike. Roll call vote, Chris,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
and I for myself. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so am I all set now?
Well, so yeah, what you'll, Sophia, you just want to walk them through the next steps real quick.
Yeah, so essentially I will have to create a standard order of conditions document that will be sent to the commission for signatures. Once we get a minimum of 4 required signatures, that will be sent to you. And during this process, you will have to have that recorded at the Registry of Deeds. You cannot proceed with work until that is done. You also have to coordinate with myself for a pre-construction site visit, in which there are a few things that we can talk offline if you have any questions about that. Okay, I hope that gives you a little bit of a next steps direction.
Yep, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Very good. Moving along. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation by Kevin O'Brien at 390 Howard Street. Do we have Mr. O'Brien and or his representative here on the call tonight?
You got Mr. O'Brien on the call.
Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you.
Do you want to just catch us up on this project and where we are?
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, my name is Kevin O'Brien. I am the owner of the property at Howard Street. Chuck Cameron has gone out there with Art Allen. They have reflagged. Chuck had reflagged it, and then Art looked at it and they reflagged it again. Whitman and Bingham, or now Haley Ward, has been out there starting to pick up the flags. There are quite a few of them, so unfortunately, this is the time of the year where everyone's busy because supposedly winter's coming, not like with a day like today, but winter is coming. Keep your fingers crossed, especially you people that like to do the snowboarding and the stuff that we just talked about recently, snowmobiling too. So between now and the next meeting on December 4th, I would anticipate having a plan done over to your department and something that Art can look at hopefully before the next meeting.
Okay, very good. And then the other note that I had, was you guys were installing some extra erosion control measures as well.
That was also done. That was the erosion that was out in the back of the property. There was 5 or 6 or 7 different checkpoints. I had a gentleman, Sean Toshi, go out there. He went out there last week and lined those with stone. Honestly, Madam Chair, I haven't seen it. But I talked to him a little earlier today and he said it's very obvious. So if somebody wants to go out there and look at it, if that's something that Sophie goes out before I do and she wants to let me know, I can. If not, if I'm out there, I will take pictures and send them to her.
Okay, very good. And so Sophia, is that something that you think you can get out to before the next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that. I was actually in anticipation that it was already complete and I was waiting for someone to reach out to me last week and the beginning of this week.
Okay, excellent. And I think the last time you went out there, maybe Chris was able to go with you. Chris, I don't know if you still have some flexibility, but if
I do.
that's
I do. So Sophia, if we just reach out, I'll be glad to go with you.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, that way we have a little bit of continuity, and it's a huge property. It's a little bit nicer walking it in the company of somebody else.
Yeah, we made that pretty clear at the last site we were out there. I asked that at least 2 people go out there so she doesn't, if God forbid something happens, when my guys were working out there, I always told them, if you're working alone, just let me know when you're out of there at the end of the day. Not that I'm checking their time, but at least that way, you know, they're out of there at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, very good.
because it is pretty big, and God forbid something happens way out back, and, you know, nobody finds out till the next morning or something, nobody needs that. So thank you for Chris again for doing that.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you for that update. I don't think there are any decisions that we need to make on that. We will talk to you again December 4th. Oh, I guess we need to continue to December 4th since we're not making any decisions tonight. So I'm looking for a motion to continue to December 4th.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris.
Second,
Thank you, Mike. Roll call vote, Jenny,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you again for that update, Kevin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members, and I hope everyone enjoys the Thanksgiving holiday. See you
Very
after.
good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good night.
All right, moving along, to, let's see, certificates of compliance. 564 Page Street. Sophia, what do you want to tell us about this request?
So this request actually, we had the applicant want to, requested to come back to the commission, and I believe they're on here tonight to have further discussion.
This was the one that was last time that we voted to keep open. Yes, that is correct. Okay, and the applicant is Shane Walker. So do we have Shane with us tonight?
You have Tim Allegio, that's the actual applicant of this. Shane Walker is the new property owner. I'm the previous property owner where this notice of intent and order conditions started, but I no longer own the property.
Okay, and what was your name again, sir?
Timothy Allegio, formerly 564 Page Street, now 318 Page Street.
Your Zoom profile says Courtney Johnson.
Yeah, that's my wife's computer.
Okay. Okay. And so what had happened last time was we went through, Sophie took us through all of her findings. There had been several attempts to go and walk out on the property, but actually walked out on the property, but Sophia had found some issues, including issues where leaves were actually taped onto dead plants. It looks like most of the dead plants, all of the dead plants were recently replaced. The blueberries that were not thriving under consultation with a, I think you said Lakeview nursery, you had taken steps to help those blueberries do better moving forward. But the Conservation Commission at that time wanted to wait until the spring to ensure that the new plantings made it through the winter. Yeah, and that the measures taken for the blueberry bushes actually were enough to allow them to make it through the winter. And since that time, the applicant correctly pointed out that our regulations do not allow us to continue a request for COC, that we either approve it or we deny it. And that is appropriate. So that's where we are right now. Is there anything that Timothy or Shane would like to add to this?
So I can't speak to, the leaves taped on the trees. I don't live there. I don't have access to the property. However, I can speak to the fact that that tree was replaced. The original site walk that was done by Matt Morrow was done 3 years ago. When I requested them to come do a site walk for a certificate of compliance, but I don't know what happened. I wasn't really I didn't pursue it enough. I don't know what happened, but I dropped the ball because I didn't continue it. And so then when I went to sell, we still had this open 3 years later. That's when I started this. Well, we were already under agreement to sell. I ended up closing with a holdback. I don't live there. When Sophia came the first time, she walked around the property. It was, we had a conversation about what was required as far as documentation per the order of conditions that I was given from Concom back in 2018, which is 2081134. So she went through that. She walked the property, and she said everything looked good, but it had been so long that she wanted another letter from an environmental agency stating that the plants still looked good, because the first one we got was done in 2020 and now it's 2024. And I was hesitant to go get another letter when I go through my order of conditions and it says that I don't need one. I don't qualify for one because I don't have any work in the wetlands itself. I only have work in the buffer zone, which is dictated on page 3 of this report. So that was fine. I got a letter from Dilson Roy. I hired them to take care of this whole thing. They wrote a letter. Conservation came back. Sophie came back for site walk number 2 with Ryan Proctor from Dilson Roy. That's when they found the taped leaves, I believe was the second one. Then and that was October 2nd. I'm sorry, there were 4 site visits. I don't want to tell you the wrong dates here. September 11th, Sophie comes out and she wants an updated letter from Norse. September 14th, the trees are replaced. October 2nd, Sophie was supposed to come back out. We were already on the agenda at this point. Sophie is supposed to come back out before the meeting, which was that week. She no call, no showed. Not a big deal, but we weren't able to get on that meeting. And then they scheduled another site walk for October 9th. October 9th, Sophie comes, verified the plants have been replaced. And she still wanted the report from the updated report from the environmental agency, and that conservation, the commission, was going to come do a walkthrough. The walkthrough happens on October 12th. We get told everything looks great, should be no problem.
Well, so let me just tell you that the conservation commissioners that make walkthroughs are not able to give you advice about whether or not there will be problems or not at the meetings.
Okay, so well, when I look in the portal, it shows pass for a site walk. Sophie first failed us, then she gave us a partial, and then we got a full pass. So to me, that's an indication that the site walk we passed the site walk. So then when there's a continuation, because we're looking for the trees to grow, which were plantings of replantings, and some of them have been there for several years. And some deer did eat the blueberry bushes. I mean, they did eat some of them, but that's kind of out of my control. They were replanted. I'm just trying to figure out.
So the requirement isn't just to put the plants in the ground. The requirement with any COC is that they're established and that they thrive.
Okay, so
so that's the place I think last time around we got into a problem, is that they were so recently planted that they can't be considered established.
in the order of conditions, where does it say that?
It is a requirement.
Yeah, but can you point to that chapter and section? Can you point to that in this order of conditions? Because I've met everything I've had to do. I've submitted everything I've had to do per this order which you issued. So can you show me where it says plants need to thrive and establish before they can issue? Because this order of condition survives the actual order of conditions. When you have a certificate of compliance, this goes away. You get a certificate of, when this goes away, the certificate of compliance is issued. The order of conditions survives it in perpetuity. That's what this order says. So can you tell me
Fine.
what it says that?
I can't raise my hand, but
Oh, yeah, Jenny.
so in the order of conditions, it does say, oh, where was it? I just had it. All work, including, there is a part about stable, everything has to be stabilized. And that's really what it refers to, is that the plants have to actually be stabilizing the area. And I just had it, now I can't find it. But no, so it doesn't actually say thriving, but stabilization. And to be stabilized, it actually has to be a fully established, like, plant that is going to survive. Which wouldn't be a newly planted plant.
Can you show me where it says that?
Yeah, give me one. I just had it on my screen and then my mouse went crazy and scrolled.
Hi, Sophia. You have your hand up?
Yeah, this isn't exactly what Jenny was looking for, but I believe I would consider the under other conditions in the order of conditions, number 45. Pursuant to condition 2060, professional witness scientists shall monitor initial plantings in all phases of growth to ensure replication restoration is completed. I'm not sure if that helps at all, but from my
Where
perspective,
our order conditions doesn't apply to 26D. It only applies to 26A, B, and C.
Sophia, are you confirming that for us?
yes.
Thank you.
If you look at page 3, section B, item 3, buffer zone impact, shortest distance between limit of project disturbance and the wetland resource area specified in 310 CMR 10.02, 2 linear feet. When you look at the inland resource area impacts, and none are checked at all in the next 3 pages, which is an indication we have no wetland work that was completed, and we're exempt from 26 Delta.
Yep, Tim is correct on that. I scrolled up and located that section.
Okay, thank you. So Jenny, I think you're still searching.
I'm still searching. I-
It's not a searchable document then, huh?
It's a
It-
PDF, so you can't just control F.
Many PDFs you can, but I understand not all of them that you can, so.
Won't let me.
Can't search it in OpenGov. It's
Uh-huh.
because it's scanned. Can open it in Adobe.
So what do you think, Jenny? Do you think we should wait or,
I think we should wait.
Okay. Okay, I'm happy to do that. I would prefer to get to the bottom of it.
I did try to search the document in Adobe, and it did not come up with anything.
I found, so, well, it says, number 18, all sedimentation barriers shall be maintained in good repair until all disturbed areas have been fully stabilized with vegetation or other means. So while it's referring to the sedimentation barriers, I would say that that's also waiting for full stabilization, which would be the vegetation being stabilizing the wetlands.
What page is that on?
That is, so on the PDF in OpenGov.
Oh,
it's,
I found it, page 7.
yes, page 7 and 12.
Um, the sedimentation barrier is so that you don't have runoff into the wetland resource area. And the place has been more than stabilized for the last 5 years. The one, a 3x3 hole at best for a couple blueberry bushes. I mean, that's not speaking to that's not speaking to 6 months of a, I guess, prolonged planting to make sure that it's planted sufficiently or is going to survive for a certain period of time. Like that's literally discussing construction of erosion controls and stabilization of the ground by vegetation and other means.
It's setting an expectation that all vegetation is stabilized.
Is that your opinion on it?
It is.
Is there any?
And
is-
it's also, it's consistent with how we manage all of the requests for certificates of compliance.
No, and I understand that completely. However, I mean, I've been working on this for over 2 months now, and the 21-day request is not consistent with your bylaw. So I understand there's discrepancies in the way that this goes. This is a stretch for you to be able to push out a certificate of compliance 6 months, which is to me arbitrary.
It's not arbitrary because that's when the growing season starts again. And you've asked for us to make a decision tonight, which I would be happy to undertake with my commission. And that's fair and consistent with the regulations. My understanding of the regulations is that in order for us to issue a certificate of compliance, the vegetation all needs to be stabilized. All of it, not part of it, not most of it, all of it. That's my understanding. I'm only one vote.
And with all due respect, the replantings were replantings of replantings, which were 5 years old and were eaten by deer. I can't control Mother Nature. I really can't. The fact that he went out and did that right away showed intent. I can't speak to his other action with the tree. I can't answer why people do what they do. However, he replaced the tree itself. The entire area is completely stabilized. And now for lack of a better term, choosing an arbitrary amount of time to see if these replantings of replantings are going to survive or not get eaten. And if they get eaten or they don't make it, I'm going to be in a perpetual cycle of replacing blueberry bushes and trees to make sure these things grow, because I disturbed 0.006% of the area. This is a complete stretch on number 18.
I understand that you're frustrated. Mike, you've raised your hand.
Yes, Madam Chair. Tim, when we were out there the last time to look at these blueberry bushes, I think we made a suggestion to help those blueberry bushes to get established. We wondered perhaps if you could put some cages around them. Has anyone gone ahead to do that, to try
Yes.
to?
The cages are already over it. I
Okay.
have photographic evidence.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mike.
Can I add something? I can't raise my
Yes,
hand.
Jenny.
So the point of having the plants stable, established and thriving is to help the wetlands be healthy. It's not, so if you're saying that the plantings were there 4 years ago and then they didn't make it, that's not really reestablishing the wetland. So, and it sounds like they could fail again, which is why we have this interest in just making sure we can keep this wetland healthy, which is the reason we have the Wetlands Protection
I
Act.
understand that completely, but the order of conditions survives the certificate of compliance. And I'm still trying to figure out if I've met everything and on the portal I get passed and I've submitted all the documentation that I need per number 26 Alpha, Delta, Beta, and Charlie, not Delta. But you guys can't really point other to the fact that we want to make sure blueberry bushes are okay and you want to wait till spring. Like that doesn't fit into the general orders and the general conditions which I need to obtain a certificate of compliance.
So it's not just the blueberry bushes, it's all of the plants there. None of them were fully established. So I guess
With all
I
due
don't
respect,
understand.
you have a replanting plan from 2020.
So that's just a plan though. It doesn't, that's just the plan. The plan doesn't say that those plants are established, they're thriving. Obviously they weren't because they are still having issues.
Ma'am, there's a detailed report from a wetland consulting company in 2020 detailing.
Yeah, well, I just read it. It's a planting plan, but it doesn't say that the plants are established and thriving. It's just a plan.
And where do I need to have a letter saying they need to be established and thriving?
Well, that's
Well,
why we
that's-
have our office administrator go out there and validate that.
And where does it say that in this general conditions? What can you show me text that says that they need to monitor that they're thriving? Where does it say that? That's all I'm asking.
It says that in our wetland regulation.
Can you point to the chapter subsection?
We'll have to take that offline. We've spent enough time on this, and it's clear that we're not going to share an opinion, and that's not required that we share an opinion. So right now, I think I'm looking for a motion from my commission. I would be in a position to deny this request, but I'm open to motions if somebody feels inclined to want to approve it.
I would make a motion to deny.
Thank you, Jenny. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Roll call vote. Mike,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself. Request for a certificate of compliance is denied. We respectfully request that you reapply in the spring, once the vegetation is out-leafed.
So just to get this clear, I'm getting denied without you being able to point to something in writing after you violated your own statute of limitations for issuing a certificate of compliance. And you're telling me that
We haven't violated our
evidence.
own.
you
No,
have
I'm the chair. I'm the chair. And I do have the bully pulpit here. So we've not violated any statute.
you have
What
completely.
is the statute that you propose that we have violated?
Yeah. I will pull it up. Certificate of compliance. Upon written request by the applicant, the commission shall issue the certificate of compliance within 21 calendar days of the receipt thereof. Next paragraph. Prior to the issuance of the certificate of compliance, a site inspection shall be completed by its commission or its agent.
And we've been out there a number of times.
If the Conservation Commission determines after review and inspection that the work has been done, not been done in compliance.
Mr.
you may be-
Leggio, you're free to appeal this
Can
to
I
a
finish?
higher court.
You shall issue a denial within 21 days of the receipt for application. That did not happen. So
You're free to appeal this to a higher court.
you're
We've taken a vote. Our determination is to deny the certificate of compliance. You're free to appeal.
Can I have
That
the
is your due
reason as to
process.
why in writing, please? Can I have the reason as to why in writing? Because it says you have to in your own bylaw.
It will be in the meeting minutes. Those will be published and that will be part of public record.
That's not what your bylaw says.
That's fine. We're moving along. So we have a certificate of compliance request for 48 Pearl Street.
Yep, just getting my notes really quickly together. Okay, so this one we actually we heard at the last meeting, and the commission requested that they return with a planting plan with detail. And this plan was provided in the OpenGov online for viewing.
Okay, can you show that to us? Do we have, what was the resident's name? Suzanne?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
DeGeorge, yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to see if you were here or not. Sophia can share for us.
Suzanne, can you point me to the correct titled plan? Is it September?
Oh, I do not. know.
Oh, actually, October 22nd. This might be. Yes, this is the
Yep,
one.
that's the one. If you want to zoom in a little or zoom out, I'm sorry, so that they can see the key at the bottom that details the number of plantings.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, Suzanne, you had an area that what was it that wasn't suitable for the trees that were proposed, and so you put in a lot of other plantings in lieu of putting in the trees. Is that?
Yeah, we also have two, you can see on the left there, it says there's a dogwood growing and a black cherry growing. Those were two trees that had taken root. We didn't plant those had taken root. So we were hoping that those could qualify, as well as the 80+ other plantings that we have around the property. And you can see it is a big mix of hostas, junipers, shrubs. We got some holly shrubs, we've got some limelight hydrangeas, and then we have a large mix of perennials all throughout. There's probably more than 80, and we continue to plant every year. You know, things don't always make it, which is why this planting plan looks a little bit different than the original one that we had passed in. But yeah, the focus last week was for you to see what the planting plan looked like, and then you guys were going to determine whether those 2 trees that were growing plus all the plantings were enough to satisfy the order of compliance.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that looks really good. Sophia, did you have photos, or Jenny? Does somebody have photos of this area? I don't recall from last time we met.
I have a couple photos. If you want me to share my screen, I can show you what those trees look like.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think I have to change my privacy settings, so give me 1 sec if you would.
Okay.
Are you able to see my
Yeah.
screen? Okay, I used my app picture this so I could detail what it looked like. Can you see the dogwood? Do you see my whole screen or just the dogwood?
We see the black cherry.
Oh, okay. So those are the 2 that have started growing. And we had an arborist out, and Sophia mentioned this last time. This dogwood, he thought was growing from a stump that was previously there before we, got a hold of it, and it's growing out from the stump.
Mm-hmm.
And then this black cherry is starting to grow. We've trimmed it out a little bit so that it will grow into, a tree.
Okay, very good. And Sophia, what was your recommendation on this request for a certificate of compliance?
How
My
was it pass?
recommendation was to approve it despite the small changes.
Okay, very
And then
good.
that was contingent upon the commission requesting and obtaining that revised and detailed plan.
Yeah, that detailed plan is really nice. So I think I'm looking for a request for approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Jenny.
Second,
Thank you, Mike. Roll call vote. Chris,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
and I for myself. Very good. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have next 393 New West Townsend Road. Sophia,
Yes, this one, 393, just looking for notes. This one was a retaining wall and a septic system. So it was very straightforward, nothing very complicated. The wall was completed according to plan, and the septic was also completed to plan, and all the vegetation was thoroughly established. So I would approve that COC.
okay, do we have any questions from members of the commission? I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. Roll call vote. Jenny, Jenny, are you there? Jenny, you just went on mute. I didn't hear anything.
Aye.
Thank you.
There we
Chris,
go.
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and I for myself. Okay, now the next entry I have doesn't really seem to be an address. Is it a return from the 393 New West Townsend, Sophia? It's like 208-50. Is that related to 393 New West Townsend Road?
Oh, yes. Since there were two projects, that's just a
Mhm.
DEP number. So it was the 208-208-08.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's a
understand.
continuation.
Okay. Very good. And we have a notice of project change for 22 Fairview. Do we have those applicants, or their representatives here?
Good evening, Matt Morrow here representing Jack Potter, the applicant.
Hi, Matt. You want to read us into what this is about and what
Is
the changes are?
Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Come on. There we go. So hopefully the scrolling function on this works because my computer's a little funny. But long story short, I came in back about a year ago, to get an order of conditions which got approved for this proposed garage. Subsequently, my client engaged the services of an architect. The architect discovered that, because of clearance issues with the existing porch that was going to remain and roofline issues, they bandied about for a number of months, actually back and forth on tweaking out the design. And I had made it clear to the architects that they could not go into the 50-foot zone. So after looking at it, let me know if my scroll is working here.
It's working.
Okay. I submitted this to the portal. This is the new dimensions. It would be, instead of 30, the original one was 36 feet by 30 feet long, or wide rather, 36 feet long by 30 feet wide. The new dimensions wind up being 39 feet long and 32 feet wide. They've tucked it in a little bit closer to the roadway. We were going to have to go in for a ZBA hearing anyway, but until they settled where they wanted to go and come up with a final plan that they all agreed on, I wanted to make sure that you guys are okay with this as a minor change. The 50-foot zone is still here. The erosion protection lines up with the 50-foot zone. There will be still no intrusion into the 50-foot zone. We made sure that we tucked it up closer to the road just to prevent that from happening. And that's basically it.
Okay, that looks straightforward to me. Any questions from members of the commission? Sophia, any concerns?
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay, I think I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris.
Second, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call vote. Jenny? Chris?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And I for myself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Okay, so moving along to violations, enforcements, et cetera. Do we have any status updates on any of the ones listed?
Yes, we have a couple, I guess somewhat, for 10 Mass Ave, we're making some progress. The applicant was told that they have to, apply, and submit a permit through DEP, as well as to our office for the work they've already done. And you'd asked me to go out and take another visit, and, I did so. The erosion controls, I gave them direction to correct and tighten up some of the silt fencing. And then we proceeded to make a date to meet in the office. The applicant came into the office. I helped them, walked them through a little bit of the application filing process, and we ran out of time, and they seem to have hit a roadblock with the online EDEP online submission through DEP. So that was kind of put on the back burner. I reached out again recently to see if they had any progress. They said they did not have progress. And I requested them to send a screenshot of the problem, the issue that they were having. And I haven't received that yet. And that is where that trails off.
Okay. So I seem to recall similar dialogue January, February kind of time frame shortly after you started working with us, where they sort of kind of were doing the same thing. Like it seemed like they were going to do something, but they never seemed to manage to do anything other than, you know, rent excavator and start doing work in the back. Is that consistent with your recollection as well?
That's right.
Okay. So maybe the right thing to do here is to give them a chance to take the corrective actions. But if we don't see any, you know, they haven't actually managed to execute on what they need to do by the next time, then maybe we need to actually issue some type of violation notice to put a little bit more pressure on them to figure out how to do the right thing.
So they did have a violation notice issued to them prior to my start.
Oh, did they?
Are you suggesting a second notice be sent?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think so. If that's, you feel like that's the appropriate escalation?
I think it would be appropriate to send a violation now, prior to the next meeting. And then if no action actually occurs by then, such as filing and completing the filing, then I would say that it should be escalated to an enforcement order.
Okay.
Because
sounds like
they've had chances to get this completed and they haven't put in that effort.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to issue a second violation notice that compels that they complete the application by December 4th. Oh, sorry, Mike. You have questions. I
Yeah,
didn't
Madam
look up.
Chair, in that second notice, are we able to put a fine number if they don't respond by December 4th, that there will be a fine issued? And I'm not sure what the appropriate fine would be, but to give them a little more urgency to answer the violation before a fine is levied.
Yeah, I'm not really, I wouldn't call myself a subject matter expert on this part of the process. Sophia, is that within our purview to do, or is that not within our purview to do with a second violation notice?
I think based off of one other violation notice that went out alongside the guidance of town council. If I recall correctly, I think a second notice is appropriate to contain a $300 a day fine worded in there somewhere that would be included in the enforcement order if it were to progress that far.
Okay. So it sounds like it's within our purview, Mike. So I'd be willing to accept a motion for a second notice that cites a $300 per day fine if they go past they haven't completed their application by December 4.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And Jenny, were you going to second or did you have a question or comment?
I seconded.
Okay.
He beat me.
Okay. Yeah, so roll call vote. Jenny,
Hi.
Chris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and I for myself. Is there any other information that you need in order to execute that violation notice, Sophia?
Nope, the most important things were the date, the deadline, and yeah, next steps and fines, sorry.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other updates on violations and enforcement actions?
Somewhat, 40 Fire Road 12. Last meeting, the one of the applicants returned a certified mail return receipt requested. However, the other applicant did not, so that had to be tracked down, and I sent it via email on the 29th to make sure that they did receive it. As well as in the mail not return receipt. And so they responded essentially with they received it. The loam and seed is applied. However, the remaining action is not clear about who, what and who should be doing this. They claim to not have any knowledge of the enforcement order. And
if I recall correctly, the outstanding action was the permanent barrier?
That's
Boulders
correct,
or
like
similar?
boulders or something, yeah.
Okay.
And they just proceeded to say that they weren't aware of the enforcement order. A clear division of responsibilities wasn't established, nor was signed by the neighbor. And they said, please consider this an appeal for the remaining action.
What does that mean, an appeal for the remaining action?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. To me, it sounds like they don't want to be held accountable for something that they are supposed to be doing, or they're objecting to it.
Okay.
So that was the last response I received by email. I also have several correspondences backing the fact that they were aware that the enforcement order was indeed being written up and sent. And
Okay,
I wanted
so-
to talk about that with somebody from the commission about what next steps are for that.
And so the last notification that we sent them, what did that actually say?
And via email or the letter?
The letter.
Well, it was a full enforcement order, WPA form. And it essentially, I mean, it sent it a while ago, but essentially it told them that they needed to make the corrections, loom, seed, and establish, as well as put in the barricades by a certain date. I don't remember off the top of my head what the date was, but I'm positive that that has lapsed by now.
Yeah, I seem to have thought it was end of summer at some point in time. We're clearly getting into winter. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what the next step is, but it seems to me that this is probably going to end up being an appeal, and so I think we want to keep legal advice close at hand with
Mhm.
town council. I think you have spoken to Adam already a couple of times
That's correct.
on this, and Adam's last advice was to issue the enforcement order, and then that we would be able to proceed with fines if there was no action. Is that correct?
Yes. And then the fact that they weren't receive or claiming to not receive the um enforcement kind of redirected myself. But essentially, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and but you actually have evidence in hand that they have received the information and had previously received the information. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do we actually need to take an action to proceed with fines or no? If it was already issued in the letter, I guess that's the place where I have a question if we have to actually enact fines or no. If that's already been decided when we issued the letter.
I would have to look back at the enforcement order.
Okay. So it's an unfortunate circumstance in my opinion, because the this thing has drug out for so long. There are two abutters that have encroached, and that it's been persisting for too long. But I want to get it closed out, but I also want to do it in a way that it's the least encumbering for the town.
Yep, I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
I don't want to wait anymore either. This is the extent and type of activity under that section.
Mhm.
The following order, number 44.
Oh, you can share it if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably easier.
Okay.
Conform to all outstanding action items described in the order by end date of October 2nd.
Yeah. Okay.
It is now November.
Yeah, it's very clear. I think we need to move to fines. Which is an unfortunate state of affairs, but that's where we need to move to. Have we notified them that did that? You scrolled through it, Sophia. Did that actually have notification of risk of fines for non-compliance?
Shall be subject to a civil penalty to not exceed $25,000 for each violation. Each day or portion thereof of continuing violation shall constitute a separate offense.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Commissioners, what are your thoughts on this one? It's been drawn out for a very long time.
Yeah, I get the feeling they're just kind of jerking us around.
Thank you for sharing that, Sophia. Mike, what are your thoughts?
So it sounds like there's a range of fines that could be levied here, but not
Yes.
specific. Somehow, if there was a specific fine levied, it would make it clearer to perhaps them,
Well, I mean,
versus,
this was pretty clear, not
Okay.
more than $25,000. Right,
But-
a civic penalty for each violation, and each day may constitute a separate offense. I'm not proposing that we jump to that, right? But I don't think coming back with, and now we mean some other amount would make it any more meaningful to them.
but
Yeah.
what did they tell you, Sophia, that they don't feel they're responsible for this?
No, that was just my interpretation.
Okay,
Their response was vague. And they said, well, I have it right here.
And they have an option of showing up at these hearings as well, right? They're posted
That's
on the
correct.
town website, right? So they have every opportunity and have for some time of showing up to these meetings. And you can zoom in from anywhere, right? You could be traveling in Europe and zoom in to one of these meetings to represent yourself. Sophia, are you trying to share your screen? I'm just seeing like the top band. I'm not seeing any content. The top of the window.
So wait, where did that go? Well, the enforcement order, I don't know where that went off screen. But right here in the center is the last correspondence with the, please consider this appeal.
You might be sharing like OpenGov or your browser and not sharing Outlook, because I don't see anything for Outlook. I just see like a blank window.
Interesting. Thanks for letting me know. Well, I will stop and then is that any different?
Yes, that's great.
Okay. Sorry about that. This is right here. This highlighted. This is the last correspondence that I had.
So by saying that the town administrator who was on the original order is not on the violation order, what is that pointing out? Like, who was the town administrator that was on the original order?
I think they meant Heather.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know how that happened, but it was like a joint orders of conditions with the town and.
Well, the property owner is actually the town. So it was both an encroachment on town property and then a wetlands violation. So that area across the street is actually owned by the town. So that these abutters had gone in and cleared and paved and whatnot. So that may be why Heather, as a representative for the town, may have been on the previous one. I don't know that answered your question though, Sophia.
Yeah.
so is this the proper way to appeal, Sophia? I mean, he states, please consider this letter an appeal for the remaining action here. So he's saying doesn't feel like it wasn't clear who was responsible to do the work, so therefore this letter should serve as an appeal for the action that's not been taken by either him or his neighbor. Is that what I understand this to say?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I don't even know how you would, what they're appealing to. And I haven't had a chance to reach back out for interpretation.
So if you're going to appeal a decision, right, you would have to, by the Conservation Commission, under our municipal bylaws, you'd have to appeal to is it the state court? If you wanted to appeal our decision under the State Wetland Protection Act, you'd have to appeal to DEP.
That's
So
right.
you would need to do either of those. I think you have to do it within 10 days of the decision being issued. And we're well past that. So it's not actually, it can't be considered an appeal to the actual terms of the order of conditions. That would not be the appropriate process. It's not following the right time. So here's oh, go ahead, Mike.
There must be an official appeal process. This response is certainly not that.
That's correct. Yes.
And someone needs to tell the individual that he must follow the appeal process. Otherwise, X, Y, and Z goes into effect, which he feels he's not responsible or wasn't clear.
But Mike, the appeals process is not even available to him now, because he would have had to, at least the way I understand it, he would have had to have appealed within 10
the 10 days. All right.
That the original order of conditions was issued.
And that's probably what a letter should be sent to him and explain. And therefore, because of that, you can, did you want to levy those fines, or do you just want to get the work done?
I would prefer to just get the work done, right? But I don't want to be here talking about it in another 6 months or a year.
Okay, so if a letter was sent saying that the appeal process was not done in time, therefore the work either needs to be done or the fines need to be levied, whatever comes first, and let him decide. And he doesn't like any certified mail. Is there another official way of sending mail to this individual?
Yeah, so the problem is with certified, that's why I send certified, so we get something in response, but it doesn't help when they don't claim it on purpose, or they're out of the country or whatnot. The only other way was confirming, like I did via email, because just sending mail, it doesn't confirm that, yes, it was sent, but it doesn't confirm that it was received by them physically. But the email did.
Okay. I'm sure there are different levels of that certified process. I'm sure the post office could help you, or the town can help you.
I think all that the post office can do is do certified mail, right? And if the people aren't there to sign for it, then they notify, leave like the notice on your front door, right? And then you go into the post office and sign for it.
Right, and they never did. They never went to pick it up. The attempts were made 3 times.
Yeah, in my opinion, you should either be able to go pick it up within 3 attempts, right? or, you know, at least explain yourself, show up to a meeting and explain yourself about, hey guys, I'm sorry, but I was out of the town, I was traveling or something. And the fact that the person's not showing up here, to me says a lot.
Yeah, they were definitely notified by the postal service to come pick up their mail.
I'm okay with, you know, educating the person in that this is not an email, doesn't actually initiate an appeal. The appeals process is X, Y, and Z, right? And that is already, you know, past your opportunity. That's fine. Education is always fine. But I do think that we need to escalate this to fines, in my opinion, because we need to get it closed out. That's where I am with it. Chris, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think personally, I just think they're playing the system. I think fines will get things moving. So I agree with your decision.
Well, it's an opinion. It's not a decision.
Sorry,
We
opinion.
make decisions as a group.
Yeah.
Jenny, what are your thoughts here?
I agree that we should start looking at fines.
Okay. Okay, so the notification letter that he received said that the work had to be done by, oh, what was it, October 2nd?
That's right.
Yeah. So I think we ought to send an enforcement order, or a second violation, maybe I don't know what's the appropriate term. Sophie, you educate me on it, but notify them that they'll start getting day-to-day fines if they're not compliant within 30 days from when you send them the letter. That's what my thought would be. Would it be a violation notice or would it be an enforcement order?
So we already sent an enforcement order.
Oh,
So
okay, so then it would have to be an enforcement or a further enforcement order, yeah.
And the
I'm not
letter
sure you
should,
can send another enforcement order after you.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think you just initiate fines, which I haven't done yet. But I know that there are some slips of some sort that have to be. Now there's a whole process.
Mhm.
But I was planning on talking to Adam Costa once I get some sort of confirmation that we have a meeting set. I wanted to talk to him about how to go about that properly.
Okay. So
I
then,
think,
go ahead, Mike.
I just want to say, I think you have to address his request for an appeal in this email, saying that has to be established, that the appeal process is no longer available to him because he exceeded his 10 days. Therefore, either a fine is coming because of that, or, you know, put the two together. So therefore the fine is being levied because, you know, you've exceeded the time limit for an appeal. And that, and once again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm sure
Why don't we do this, Mike? Why don't we ask Sophia to get back to him and back to the to Scott and notify him that appeal's not available to him because of, you know, all the reasons that we've already stated. Then we will, as a commission, maybe table this to our next meeting, which is December 4th. And with the expectation that between now and then, Sophia meets with Adam Costa in office hours, gets clarity on the process for levying fines, so that then we would be in a position to make a decision about fines at the.
That sounds great, Mary.
Does anybody have another thought about that or want to advocate in a different direction? I'm not seeing anybody's hand. Sophia, is that clear? Does that sound reasonable?
Yep, I've been already trying to get something set with Adam, but
Okay,
I'll keep trying.
okay. That's all you can do. He's a busy guy and he's got a lot of, big things that he's got to deal with. So thank you. Anything else on enforcement and violations?
Well, 205 Sunset, we should be taking that off
Yeah,
for the
I
next
agree.
meeting. It was decided that by town council after speaking with them that the commission no longer holds the authority to issue any type of either enforcement or hold them accountable after DEP steps in with their superseding order of conditions, even though the bylaw may be more strict. And
Okay, and I think you circulated that to all of the
Yes.
commissioners, yes?
I hope so.
If not, we can remedy that. But yeah, I think that's a good enough summary. I mean, in the interest of time, I think that's a good
Yep.
enough summary for where we are with that one. And I agree, we should take that one off the appeal. Superseding order of conditions has been issued, so that one I think is off this list. Okay, anything else there?
It was brought to my attention that 67 Island Road had done some work that was unpermitted. And I do have photos of that. I did a site visit. I contacted them.
Excellent.
That's us.
Oh, shoot, guys, if I realized that you were on for this, we would have moved it to the beginning and spared you some pain. I apologize.
No, it's been an education.
Okay, Sophia.
Oh, I have photos. Essentially, they did some work in regards to basically a patio and some steps. I'll just pull up my photos.
And Jared and Melissa, thank you for joining us tonight. Maybe you could just give us kind of, while Sophia's looking for those photos, maybe you could just give us an overview of what you did.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, you turned on your.
Maybe mute one of you.
So we had replaced the patio in the existing footprint of the patio. I'm embarrassed that we're even here. I don't think that I realized what was expected before we did the work. So we had a patio. We replaced it because Melissa's mother had actually fallen down a couple times on the failing patio. We didn't extend the footprint. We didn't change the design of it. And it was to facilitate getting to the deck better, because otherwise she was walking on crumbling stones and uneven terrain. We were considerate in what we did, in that the pavers that we used are permeable. The idea was that it would drain better, so we weren't creating like a runoff going into the lake. I thought that because we were replacing existing product, we didn't have to go through the process or a process. Something that we've used in the past, like we had trees removed, we applied to the Conservation Commission. We had put in a brand new fence because the fence was new. We came and talked to the Conservation Commission. Ignorance isn't an excuse. I'm just trying to explain that I wish we had done it right. And I want to make it right, however, we're supposed to do that.
Okay, thank you for that. Sophia?
I can't hear you. Oh, hold on, sorry.
Are you there now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Sam.
Okay, yeah. And Sophia's, do you have other photos? Okay,
So when we got the notice, and again, I'm kind of learning this as we go, sadly. It talks about dredging and removing soils, and there's nothing that was removed from the property.
mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what the real description of dredging is. It sounds like a pretty dramatic word.
Oh, that's just the generic blurb of action taken in a wetland or a buffer zone.
So as you look at this photo, you can see the concrete there, where it kind of blends into the steps.
Mm-hmm.
That was literally, we did an overlay of the concrete that was there, extending out and then going to the front of the deck. This, and if you want me to, I could share photos. That, where that deck is, this used to be a greenhouse. It was roughly 10 by 24, which is the
Mhm.
same footprint of the deck.
Yeah, let's see those. Because when I got the somebody called me and reported this, I went into the town has this app called Nearmap that allows us to look at historical satellite images.
Yeah.
And so I went back and looked there, and it did look like you had done some work.
How
I
do
didn't see
share?
the I
You know-
didn't see the greenhouses in that history though. There should
So-
be an icon. What kind of device are you using?
I'm on a laptop.
So down at the bottom of the window, usually there's like a little green
Oh.
arrow.
I got it.
Okay.
So you see that greenhouse there?
No, we're looking at a file structure.
Yeah, where am I seeing it? I'm not seeing the picture.
All right, I can see a picture.
Maybe just move the window over on top of your OneDrive file structure.
Hold on one second, please. I have.
I was gonna.
My grandfather actually built the greenhouse in 1976.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at it.
You're just not sharing the right screen. Where does it say screen sharing? We're seeing this. So close that and then you share.
Do you see that?
No, no share. There you go. Are you seeing that?
Aha, okay.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Sorry, I muted you. So, I'm sorry, I pushed something that said visual search, but the photo on the left is our house.
Mhm.
That greenhouse sits on a cinder block foundation that measures roughly 10 by 24, and it stands about 19 inches tall. In 2013, we think, a snowstorm collapsed that greenhouse and left the foundation existing. So a haphazard like outdoor space was built on that, and then we refreshed it with fresh decking. Again, thinking that we were using an existing footprint, so it didn't require anybody to look at it or get permission to use it because we weren't extending anything off of the house or going closer to the water. After listening to several of your speakers tonight, I understand now that regardless, that should have been addressed by the Conservation Commission. The deck itself and the patio measure 34 feet from the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that's well within the 50 feet. You know, we took precautions in building it because she's lived in this house for 3 generations. You know, we're considerate of the environment in the lake and where we are.
Yeah.
We didn't feel like we had a major impact, and
Yeah, so generally what we do, and sometimes, people through no malintent, right, find themselves kind of being ignorant of what the requirements are. And I certainly understand that, and I'm sympathetic with that. What we generally require of people who find themselves in your circumstance is that you do a retroactive application. And in this case, it looks like a request for determination would be the appropriate process to go through.
request for determination.
Yes.
Okay. Aside from the form that is, what information needs to be provided for the request for determination?
It would be the what was there before, the approximate location to the wetlands, to the lake. It would be what you've replaced it with, right? And those dimensions, including the, location to the lake, what the materials are, right? And, if it is, as you said, semi-pervious, like what ensures that it's semi-pervious, like what materials did you use for the, in between the pavers and whatnot. And Sophia can give you some guidance about what, information you would need to put in that RDA. Is there
Okay,
any big items, Sophia, that I left out?
I think you pretty much covered it all, and essentially when you go to fill that out in OpenGov, it walks you through and asks you for the required documents.
Oh, okay.
So it's all there. And if you do have questions, you can just put it in the, like, make a comment, and I'll get it there and by email as well.
So one of the things that we had put off in the interest of doing the walkway, because it was, and I'll have photos for how it was deteriorating and show you like the reason for why it got replaced. We put off like painting the house and some other stuff. Understanding now that, we're within that 100-foot buffer, is painting the house, does that require Conservation Commission to have an opinion too?
No.
Okay. And as far as like seeding the lawn down there or anything like that, does that require any kind of?
Oh, seeding the lawn. That's a good one. That probably is I don't know that anybody ever does it. Sophia, does anybody ask you about seeding the lawn?
They have not, but I believe it would fall under a minor exempt activity that doesn't require any type of filing. Because if it's already an established landscaped area, they wouldn't have anything to do with permitting. in
Yeah.
that sense.
Okay. I know it
Okay.
seems like a silly question, but as I'm listening to some of these other things, I realize like maybe I was taking that for granted too.
Yeah. Certainly if you were removing any shrubbery or vegetation, permanent vegetation, you would need to contact us about that.
Yeah, and we've talked to Matt Morrow in the past we had some
Mm.
trees that we took out and replanted stuff to make up for we went through that process, so we can
Okay.
appreciate that. It just seemed like a much more dynamic change
Mhm.
and that's, again, ignorance is not, I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate you guys, working with us now, and yeah, we'll just submit the paperwork and we'll get you in the process and on the right road.
Is there a timeline to submitting that?
We're getting into the holidays, right? So I would prefer if you did it within 30 days, since this is a violation notice. That's generally what we require of folks.
We plan on doing it right
But-
away. I just didn't want to miss the deadline if it's a 7-day expectant.
Yeah, no, I would like for you to have it done within 30 days. I'm just thinking about that. Is there anything in your Thanksgiving holiday plans that would interfere with that?
For us?
Yes.
No, this is a priority. This was the
Okay.
last thing that
Well, I
wanted
appreciate
to-
that. I appreciate that. And, where we have people that really try to work with us, we also try to work with you, right? Because, our shared interest is protecting the wetlands. and making certain the wetlands stay healthy. So,
Excellent.
you know, as long as we're all
Okay.
working together, that's a good thing.
Okay. Sophia, how could I contact you offline if I needed any help with this?
So all the information, my contact information, as well as my assistance, is posted on the town website.
Okay. Awesome. We'll jump right on this, I promise.
Okay, very good. Thank you both.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a
coming
good evening.
tonight. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so moving along. New business. So one thing that's come up within the last 48 hours, well, actually, we'll handle it under the Hollis Roads residents thing. Mike, I was going to talk about, I don't know why there are two of me on here. That's weird. We were going to talk about that situation a little bit. We'll talk about it during the Hollis Road residents updates. Jenny, you sponsored a topic for discussion about OpenGov.
Yeah, so I was meeting with Sophie and Brian Gingras and Chris Riley. And we were talking about how there's an option to have the Conservation Commission site walk as its own component in OpenGov, so that we can send an alert to the applicant that we're coming at that time, so they would get an email saying, you know, Conservation Commission will be there at this time. And then also an option for one Conservation Commissioner to add photos. Brian Gingras didn't want everybody adding photos, so he wanted us to appoint one person that could add photos if we wanted to, you know, move forward with doing the site walk aspect of OpenGov and also having a commissioner be able to add photos into OpenGov.
I think it'd be a great idea. You know, most of the time when we go and do those site walks, people are surprised, which is, you know, not good for them and not good for us. It's not good for our public image. So I think it's a great idea. I would nominate you to be the point person if you'd be willing to consider it.
I would be willing to do it.
And I would second that.
Okay, so do we need to vote? Let's vote. Chris?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Aye for myself. Jenny?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be great to have that as a separate element that's tracked separately, and that we use it as a tool to notify, you know, our residents that are going through the application process. I think that's really a great idea. Thanks for bringing it forward.
Thanks. All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, no update on title searches, no updates on encroachment issues. Grant update. I don't have any update on the Conservation Commission sponsored grant. I understand the consultant is off and working away on that. Lunenburg Snow Rider sponsored grant. Snow Riders have received the power unit that all of that work paid for. And they're going through the paperwork to get it registered. You know, the great thing about the Snow Riders being the recipients of that ATV power unit is that I'm confident they will use that to help us be more efficient in doing our various trails projects. And I don't know how many of you guys are aware of it, but I certainly am very much aware that sometimes it is a bit of a limiting factor trying to figure out how to get materials down a trail to repair a bridge or to build boardwalks or whatnot, and having access to a power unit like that, I think will help out a tremendous amount. So that's really cool. Chris?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to have a plaque created so we can put that on there when they're doing work for the commission. I mean, it's trail work, but it's in tandem with the snowmobile club. So I think we should have it. I think there should be something on there saying that this is trail work being done, co-sponsored, you know, the snowmobile club and the conservation committee. Like if we're cleaning a tree up or whatever. I just want to know if actually that's my motion.
I'm not opposed to that. Are you actually making that motion, on behalf of the Snow Riders?
I'm making it on behalf of the Conservation Committee. I want the plaque to say that the work being done, if somebody comes across that ATV while we're out in the trails, that the work is co-sponsored between the Snowmobile Club and the Conservation Committee, because that machine's gonna be used when we're on corridor trails. We're on conservation land. I think that plaque should be out there. So yeah, I'm actually motioning for us to make the plaque, but I'd like to hear what other commissioners think.
Okay, folks, what are your thoughts?
Now, is this a plaque to commemorate the fact that you were doing good work, or is it a plaque to commemorate that you're working on the trails? I wasn't quite clear.
Mike, it's more like you typically, it's very strange to see an ATV on these trails. They're not supposed to be out there. So if there's a plaque out there saying that this is official trail work, I'm not out there taking a joyride down a trail.
I see. So it's more like a work notice plaque that this is an official action sanctioned by the Conservation Commission, and it helps everybody.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly, you said it perfectly. It's sanctioned by the Conservation Committee in conjunction with the Snowmobile Club to keep the trails in good condition. And if that ATV is out there, it's for trail work.
That sounds wonderful, Chris. And you have all of these skills to make this, or is it something we're gonna have to farm out? What are your thoughts?
Let me step back and think about that. I think it's something we could handle. We could probably do it through Staples. It must probably just something laminated. So let me get back to you on that.
Okay, all right.
Jenny, what are your thoughts?
So is this something that would sit there all the time, or would it just be there when you're grooming?
When I'm doing trail work, it would be on there. If I'm grooming, it would not. I don't think the grooming's part of the Conservation Committee, but if we're cleaning up a trail, if we're out there with a chainsaw, because a tree fell across the trail, that type of work is endorsed by the Conservation Committee and performed by volunteers from the community.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, whenever the Snow Riders do work on conservation land,
Yeah.
and doing basic trail cleanup, they don't tend to come to the commission to do basic trail cleanup, because in the past that's always been something that the Snow Riders were allowed to do. If they did something that required a power unit to be out on the trail, or where they were doing construction, or any type of big project, they always came to the Conservation Commission about that specific project and got permission. Are you advocating that not be the process moving forward, or just have a plaque so that when that permission had been granted, the Snow Riders actually had some way of, like, leaving a little placard on the ATV so that anybody walking past would just know?
Yeah, it's the latter. So, for example, there's a tree down near my area that needs to. It's what they call a widowmaker. It needs to come down, and this isn't something the Snowmobile Club would come in front of the commission saying we're gonna go out and take care of this tree. We always did it ourselves, and typically I walked down and did it. But I'm very sensitive to the fact that if I use the ATV to pull the tree down and then cut it up, I just would like to have it marked that it's an approved piece of machinery to be out there, because typically ATVs aren't supposed to be out in those woods. That's why I was very sensitive about being out there with a machine. I wanted to have a plaque. But I mean, if somebody came up to me, I can explain to them that I'm a commissioner and that this is an approved thing. But I just thought having the plaque would be a nice touch. That's all.
Okay.
Not a big deal either way. I mean, like you said, if we're gonna if we, like you said, Mary, it's very, it's a fact that, we do go out and we do work activities as a club on trails. We've had the entire Kubota out there plus other equipment, and we've never really made it, had plaques. I guess I'm just being overly sensitive to having an ATV out in the trails.
By the terms of the grant, it needs to have a Mass Trails plaque made for it anyway. I mean, that's one of the actions that we have,
Okay.
that the snow riders have. So that definitely, is required, but, I think yeah, I don't really have a care one way or the other, because I mean, if it's just a laminated piece of paper,
Yeah.
it's a easy enough thing to do, right? As long as the snow riders are actually using it when they have Conservation Commission permission.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
I also think it's a nice sign of our cooperation between the two, entities, and we have a great relationship between those two. A perfect example is when we put up the kiosk. That was a great team effort between the Conservation Committee buying the materials and us building and installing them. And this is just another thing where, conservation endorses the work. So I think I'd like to have something off the back of it just to show our, how we work well together.
Yeah, I'm not opposed at all.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could the sign be magnetized? Is this something you can put on your vehicle? Does that make sense, or?
You know what? I think all of the fenders and everything are like fiberglass.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wouldn't work.
But I mean, we could also do like a little banner that's tied on there or whatnot too. Right? That's a straightforward thing to do. And the Snow Rider Club had been talking about getting banners that said, they were doing trail work and whatnot to put on, because as Chris mentioned, there is a Kubota that generally stays in Lunenburg. There's a Kubota that stays generally in the Ashby area as well. And those are used, with permission of the prevailing local authorities to do trail work. And then in the wintertime, we have, kind of evergreen permission to do the winter grooming on the, approved snowmobile trails. But the Snowmobile Club had actually allocated some funds to get banners for, basically saying that they were doing conservation work or trail work. So
Well, I would make sure that you had enough of them, so if there are more than one Kubota going out, that you don't have to say, oh, where's the sign today?
Right. Well, I would think it would just stay like in the glove box or, co-located with the units.
Okay.
And Chris, did you recall that the Snow Riders had allocated funding for trail work signs?
I don't recall that, Mary. Maybe I missed that. So maybe we'll
Yeah, they had allocated not to exceed $200 to get banners to go on the power units to designate when they were doing official trail work.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments about that? I do think it's a good idea, Chris, and even though people can ask, a lot of times people don't ask. It doesn't mean that they walk away without a thought or concern, right? So having the information out there, I think, is an opportunity to do some advocacy, both for snow riders and the Conservation Commission, and ensure people don't walk away with a misunderstanding, and ensure people don't walk away and think, hey, he's using his ATV, I'm going to use mine.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly right.
So I think it's all goodness.
Yeah.
Moving along, Hollis Road residents, Mike.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to first start out by saying that I got a request from one of the volunteers at the Pollinator Habitat to refurbish the Pollinator Habitat sign that is located at the entrance on Hollis Road to go into the habitat.
Right.
She was saying that the sign looked a little dated and it looked a little worn. So she wanted
Yeah.
permission to take the sign away. And I'm sure she elicited, this is Linda Hilson, by the way. She
Mhm.
probably solicited the help of her husband, Rick, who I'm sure took the sign down. And I guess Linda's probably in the process of painting the letters back on.
Oh, nice.
So we should have a nice sign. If it's not already done and up, I will check this week. But
I was just checking to see if I still had I had a photo of it at one point,
you know,
because
it's
I
got a
submitted
butterfly
it.
on it.
Yeah, but I'm not finding it. I have too many photos. Yeah. Oh, that's excellent that they took the initiative to go and improve that. That's great.
Yeah.
And did they need any material funding from us or no?
I'm sure it's minimal. She hasn't come back with me with a list of
Okay.
painting supplies, you know.
So
you
you're
know,
just
was-
basically letting us know that somebody's done something wonderful for the pollinator habitat?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other news I have about Hollis Road is that I got word by Chris Ruth that we missed the cabinets at the reuse Habitat for Humanity by 5 minutes. Someone else came in 5 minutes before we did and purchased those cabinets that we had did a we had the price, and between then Nick got sick with COVID and could not get there. And unfortunately, when he did get there, the cabinets had already been purchased. So we missed that opportunity. So there was some other ones that were not as good, and because they were press board, we said we don't want any press board cabinets. So he says they usually get them regularly in. So hopefully he goes in there often enough to be able to be, if there's something that's good, he's going to make the purchase of those that we had.
Yeah, because we've authorized the funds, so.
We've already authorized it, correct.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to let you know that. Plus, today I got a chance to get a copy of the resident caretaker custodian license agreement that we have. Do we want to talk about that a little bit, or?
I think, yeah, let's talk about that just a little bit, but maybe also, you know, if you could share it in email with the conservation commissioners so they could look at it, you know, at their leisure would be helpful. And, you know, just as a reminder to everybody, we, you know, can't comment via email, right? But it'd be nice for you to have it so that you can actually look at it.
Okay, so I got the signed copy of that agreement from Julie Bellavo today. So I will attempt to try to share it. This is, I'm generally not the best at this, but I was willing to drop it off somewhere so someone else could do it. Because all I know is how to take a photograph of a sheet.
Do you have like a hard copy of it or something, Mike?
Yes, I do have the hard copy.
Oh, yeah, I can get it and scan it and PDF it.
Okay.
That's an easy thing to do.
Okay.
I didn't realize you had a hard copy. Sorry, I just assumed she emailed you a copy.
No, I got the hard copy because so I have the original signed, plus I have the original unsigned. So there's 2 copies actually.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to share that with you. And as I said, it's pretty clear what is asked of the licensee and what our responsibilities are. And so I think everything that I thought might be in there is in there. And so I'm sure, and it looks pretty straightforward. And even though the original document was dated December 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2018. The agreement does say that even though those dates are passed, it's still in effect.
Yeah.
So it's clear that there's an agreement for that property, even though the initial agreement has lapsed, but still in
Okay.
effect. So,
Okay.
all right.
Very good. Very
Yep.
good. So to update you, so you know, you kind of reached out to me today and let me know that there have been, you know, some issues maybe at the residence that had been reported back by Nick as he was, you know, trying to do the, you know, his good work with the kitchen remodel and double checking the measurements and whatnot. And I actually reached out to a select board member who I know is in this industry to ask for his advice about how we might go about getting better property management resources actually assigned, right? Would that be through the town? Should we go out to, you know, a public kind of third party, hire a third party property manager? And the select board member who's in this industry is as a profession said that you know, the town had really good luck in finding people within this type of expertise area helping out, and that was an avenue that we should pursue. And he said that he may be willing to do that as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And he's gonna look into that and give me a commitment. You know, next time. I've actually asked him to come to the December 4th meeting to discuss this. So we could maybe get some better advice at that time, right? About what
Okay.
he feels like he may or may not be able to do. And he did point out that, you know, the rent right now is severely under market. And he also looked up, you know, there had been a concern that Bob had related about whether the rent was restricted to benefit only the Oz conservation area, or whether it could benefit all conservation areas. And his preliminary research said there are no such restrictions on how the town uses that revenue.
Oh, that's interesting, because what
Yeah.
I read, it sounded like that the rent was supposed to go back to the Haas account.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all it says.
Yeah.
But
Where does
to
it say
me-
that? Does it say that in the lease agreement?
There's that in the lease agreement, and it
Mhm.
says the rent is supposed to go back into the Haas account to take care of the property.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
is in there. It
Yeah.
doesn't,
So according to this advisor, right? If that were a hard fast restriction, it would need to be on the deed, and it's not on the deed.
okay,
And it would need to be in a conservation administered restriction, and it could find no evidence of that with the registry of deeds. So anyway, though, one of the actions that I owe him is to make a copy of the lease agreement and share that with him so that he is more fully informed.
okay. That sounds good. I will connect with you after tonight. It's to make sure you get those copies and
Yeah,
we
I
can
can
go
get them
through them.
scanned and out to everybody. Chris, you had some questions or comments?
Yes, Mike, the cabinets, what are the conditions of them? Because I've done a lot of work on my own house, and sometimes cabinets only need refacing, like new doors. What are the conditions of these cabinets?
I haven't seen them lately, but all the inside shells are all warped.
Okay, okay.
And I connected with people who do resurface the faces of, and it takes a long time, and it's not really, you know, the hinges are questionable sometimes. And
Yeah, it's
unfortunately,
just trying to get a ballpark on what the issue
yeah,
is. It's just the doors, those can be replaced pretty easily.
yeah, but there was so much else that's bad with these cabinets,
Okay.
Chris, unfortunately.
Just wanted to
Yeah,
put that
no, it
out.
was definitely a good question to ask, but Chris Ruth, who's been in there, kind of shook his head and said, you know, there's no saving these. That's why we were
Right.
going to the next step.
Okay.
Mike, you had another update about the pollinator habitat that I think you wanted to make certain was part of the public record in this meeting.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for reminding me of that. I think it was the 21st of November. I got a text, actually a text, but was asking me to make a call to one of the volunteers. Apparently, there was someone who did a little joyriding through the pollinator habitat on the big field that we have spent so much time in eradicating the poison ivy. And we've, well, apparently, you know, someone who just got his license thought it would be a fun thing to go through the pollinator habitat and pull some donuts in that big open space in the pollinator habitat, and inadvertently hit the cherry tree that, you know, was being protected by some deer fencing. But, you know, if a vehicle comes at it, unfortunately, it was hit. And so I guess the habitat volunteers gave notice to what had occurred, and we found out who it was, and apparently it was a neighbor and a neighbor's child, and they asked for us then, because it was his first time with his new license and car, whether or not we could just bring it up at the commission with the promise of getting the ruts all restored and the cherry tree and the fencing that was damaged restored. And so far that has occurred. So I wanted to bring that up in lieu of bringing in, you know, having a 16-year-old, you know, who made a mistake, thought it would be fun, but didn't realize that his fun was really damaging something that a lot of people took a lot of effort and care to produce. So hopefully and I've heard so far that the restoration is underway and there need not be any more outside action if that was okay with the commission.
I think that's great that you guys are working with a person responsible, and I understand the parents of the person that's responsible, and you know, because you know, I kind of think these days that you know, we ought to reward good behavior. People, you know, good people make mistakes, and the young adult clearly made a mistake, and it sounds like is being held accountable for that. So I think working with that family is the right thing to do, right? To help them make amends and might not make too big a thing out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been there since and the fencing and the tree has been kind of propped up, and they're waiting until the spring to make sure
To see
that
if it's established.
correct. We've had a big establishing discourse this evening, so it applies here as well. So
Very good. Well, fingers
okay.
crossed that the cherry tree makes it.
Yes, I agree. Thank
Very
you for
good.
your understanding.
Thank you.
All right.
That's a lot. That's a lot of updates, Mike. So thank you for all of that, keeping track of all of that for us. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't have any updates from open space. Jenny, do you have any updates from stormwater?
I have not met in a while, so no, I do not.
Okay. Alrighty then. And I don't see any members of the public on to ask for final comments. And we are not meeting on the 20th because Sophia is out, hopefully doing something quite fun. Our next meeting will be December 4th. It is 9:48 p.m. I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
Second,
Second.
Roll call vote. Jenny. Jenny,
I.
thank you.
Aye.
Mike,
hi,
Chris,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you all.
Have a good
thank
night.
you. Have a good evening.
You as well.
You too.